Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of the African Food System Forum Culinary Village Cooking Stage. I can see a couple of seats. If you want to sit down for the next 2 hours, grab a seat, move in, push someone, nudge someone along and get a chair. And if not, gather around. There's going to be some incredible discussions, some demonstrations, some bites to taste, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll take a moment just to reintroduce myself. My name is Paul Newnham. I am the CEO at the Sustainable Development Goal 2 Advocacy Hub, and I will be moderating today's conversation here and each day in the Culinary Village. I just want to say, as we get started, a big thanks to all of the partners that come together to bring together the African Food System Forum. AGRA, FAO, MasterCard Foundation, and many others that all contribute in different ways to make this forum what it is. We have over 5,000 people here, and it's super exciting. We've also, as part of our cooking, thanks to Rockefeller Foundation for providing some low energy induction cooktops, so we don't have smoke filling the tent, but that we're also being kind to the planet. And so it's really important. All of these little things help add up. So one of the initiatives that we're going to be talking about and that we have the pleasure to coordinate is a network of chefs called the Chef's Manifesto. The Chef's Manifesto, you'll see around some signs and some details about it, but it's a network of 1,500 chefs around the world in over 120 countries who are driving action every day in their kitchens. They're making choices about ingredients. They're profiling different climate-friendly, nutrition-sensitive ingredients. And they're putting practically on plates outcomes and solutions that help us to transform the food system. And so we work with these chefs to help connect them to scientists and experts, to help give them platforms like this to actually be able to also showcase and to share and to be able to encourage us to do more. So today at the forum, we've been focusing each day on one of the key themes. We have innovate, accelerate, and scale. This is the themes that have been picked for the forum. And today we're focusing on acceleration. So yesterday was all about innovation. Today is about how do we move forward? How do we make sure we move faster and really drive that forward? Because to transform our system, we all know our climate is changing faster, our health outcomes are changing faster, and so we need to be ahead of that. We need to be moving fast. And this requires investment, it requires collaboration, and we're going to be talking a little bit about this. So we're talking about this, and what I would love to do is to kick off the program. I'm going to be joined on stage by Shanul Salam. By de facto, you're kind of one of my bosses or friends, mentors.
I'll take that. And does this work?
Have we got the mic on?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess the funny thing is that's how I met Earthrin as well at the World Food Program. I was running another public-private partnership.
We were probably in the building together then in Rome. No, this is great. So your work focuses around building nutrition-focused sustainable businesses that really cater to the last mile. And that's something I know Earthrin was passionate about. So this forum is really focused on transforming food systems, and particularly in this digital and climate era. So can you share a little bit about how innovative approaches in food and agriculture through technology, inclusive finance, are really helping to accelerate this, particularly in Africa?
So I guess first, thank you for having me here. The irony of the fact that I have no culinary skills, none whatsoever, has me having great respect for home chefs to professional chefs, and for the fact that you can bring the science of nutrition together with the art of food to have something that's healthy, tasty, and also culturally enlightening is a journey that I'm always willing to take. I just can't be on the production side on that side, so I'm on the consumption side.
Well, there's lots of chefs here to help.
Yeah, so hence, respect. Coming to the question around innovations, I think as a continent, Africa is the future food basket of the world. There is no doubt about it. It has the arable land, it has the yields that can be increased, it has the youth workforce. So we will have to be the future of the world. We have no options there. When it comes to innovations, I would say we need a plethora of innovations, all the way from responsible production to responsible consumption. There's a lot that already exists, and it's an opportunity for us to adapt it and scale it. And to accelerate that, I mean, anywhere from the fact that you need a cold storage solution, right next to the fact that there's lab being grown in a lab meat being grown, and to the fact that we have satellite data being used for credit scoring, and that satellite data is being combined with mobile money data here on the continent and hasn't been looked at in other places, really shows where we are able to accelerate the food system transition. So for us personally, one of our projects out here in Rwanda is around insect production.
Okay.
And it's animal feed, not human consumption, before anybody's asking. But we might get there someday. For now, it's about how do we change that animal feed and fertilizer as a part of the whole food system, making it more local for local. So Africa is at the center of it. When it comes to finance, I used to work for Bank. I love them. Truly, truly love them. Also worked for an IFI, I will not name them. We need solutions in finance that are, again, top to bottom, to be able to range from the fact that you need guarantees, first loss guarantees for banks, to be able to actually deploy and not just sit with cash to farmers. You need credit scoring mechanisms that are being embedded across AgTechs and NBFIs. And you need capital sitting for infrastructure development with the government. There is, I would say, still a long way for us to go on the finance acceleration, but it's there, and it's a question of how we can take it forward. And for me, that means partnerships, and de-risking mechanisms.
So in terms of partnerships, because I think, the African Food System Forum, I know, is about bringing people together to develop those connections and those partnerships. What's really important from your perspective, just on, is there any innovative models of partnerships or different ways that you've seen really drive forward impact?
So I'll start at the grassroots level, and I did not know this session was going to be about sorghum, so this is one of my favorite pieces. A few years ago, and there are a couple of people who might know this story, a few years ago we were just on the outskirts of Nairobi with some farmer cooperatives talking about sorghum. And they came back to us going, well, our grandfather used to plant this, and now we do maize, we know where the markets are, the traders are, the processors are, and more importantly, if we don't sell it, we know how to cook it at home. We have no idea about that for sorghum.
Yeah.
We worked with them for months. It became their most profitable crop.
Amazing.
And the reason we were able to do that, ironically, is because we brought in a market demand from someone like AB InBev. So it started about providing sorghum for beer, but that we got in Yara, Syngenta, and Bayer to be able to do the crop science aspect.
Amazing.
I mean, unfortunately, sorghum has while it is high in nutrition, and it is drought resistant, and it has all of these great values both for planetary and human health, it is a little ancient. It's been around for millennia in both South Asia and in Africa, and it's not that happy with around certain insects and pests and diseases, so it's not a perfect crop, but we were able to make it their most profitable crop. And a little side note, that it was the women who planted the larger portions of sorghum, because they also figured how to cook it at home again.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk a little bit later about another crop, Funio, which has been engaged also. There's been a scale up in beer production, which is a really interesting angle. And Chef Pierre Thiam, who was hoping to be here but unable to be here, we've got some of his work to put on show. But I mean, these kinds of things are really interesting to build that demand, build that base so that the investment happens. So thank you for joining us and really appreciate you being here with us as we get started. So thank you very much.
Good luck and happy eating as well.
Thank you. Yeah, let's get lively. We had some Nigerians here yesterday. Are they here? And I think we had some Kenyans. The Kenyans were never as loud as the Nigerians for some reason. But we'll work on this. You guys can practice. I believe I've been in Kenya and I've seen the Kenyan. Yeah, see, Betty, you're on it. Yeah. I'm expecting this happening soon, very soon. So today we're going to explore further in depth how we can really drive forward. We're going to talk about from chefs to farmers to scientists, how do we bring underutilized crops to the fore? Because I think there's a lot of crops, people call them all different things, orphan crops, forgotten crops, underutilized. There's lots of opportunity crops, I know is another important one. So how do we think about bringing them forward? And I think this is really important. I was talking last night with Dr. Shakuntala Tilsted from the CGIR, and she was telling me also, remember in Rwanda, there is more water than land. And I said, really? And we went and researched with all the rivers and lakes. So I'm wearing a shirt that is a fish and aquatic themed shirt in her honor. She convinced me, and so if you know her, you need to tell around youth, food, and acceleration, and entrepreneurs and farming. So we're going to bring all this together. We're going to explore how do we drive this forward. So I'm going to invite my two guests. We have with us Dr. Lindiwe Majele Simanda, the chair of the CGIR System Board, and we also have Taylor Quinn, the executive director of Tailored Foods, and an external consultant on improving children's food in Eastern and Southern Africa with UNICEF. So thank you for joining us. Dr. Lindiwe, CGIR has been at the forefront of agricultural research for many years. They have a booth at the end as well that people can visit, but we've had scientists from CGIR, we've had a team from CGIR on every day, because you guys are really helping explore food and really think about the future. So can you tell us a bit about how as an organization are you adapting your priorities to address the importance of underutilized climate resilient crops, like some of the ones that we're going to use today with the chefs?
Thanks, Paul, and it's good to be here. I apologize for my voice, but I hope you can all hear me. So I think when you think of CGIR, in most cases, people will say, oh yeah, we have them in my country, and they'll say, which one? They'll say ILRI or CIMET. The good news is that we have realized that the challenge that we face can never be addressed by one center. So the best thing that's happened under CGIR is to come under one umbrella, which is the one CGIR. So whenever you think of ILRI, it's got a surname. The surname is CGIR. And in that surname, we have 13 centers that have come together with one vision and one mission, which is to transform food systems, land systems, and water systems in the face of climate change. So can you imagine bulking all our 10,000 staff, all our research under one umbrella to combat climate change and come up with innovations that will be able to transform the food, land, and water systems. So that's the number one thing that we have to embrace. We need everybody in this army to combat climate change. The second thing that we've done is to work on programs that are implemented across the centers. Gone are the days where scientists would just romance with research and publish. We want to see impact. If you go on our website, there are 5 clear impact areas. One of them is climate change, another one is nutrition, third one is livelihoods, gender, biodiversity. We want to make sure we are relevant to the world's needs. This is an army of close to 10,000 staff that have repositioned to address societal challenges. But what's more exciting is that we've reviewed the way we partner. You asked for how are we positioning. We've done a study to look at how we partner. We have not been good partners. We want to now partner to the last mile. What that means is we were doing research on agriculture, but now it's the food systems approach from farm to fork. We can't be everywhere. We need partners who will take us to that last mile. So we've gone back to review the way we partner. We've got to be partners that deliver a win-win, both to other researchers at NAS or regional level, but also touching the farmer where they are found, touching the people who cook the food. And particularly for Africa, we know that 80% of the food that we eat passes through the hands of women. So you cannot talk agriculture research, you cannot talk food systems research without being relevant to these women, to the youth who are on the ground to make things happen. So those are the 3 things that I would highlight, Paul, as being the new way of doing business.
That's amazing, and I absolutely love the pivot you're making, and it's a big organization. You know, you're bringing all of this together, but that's, some people say, oh, that's very easy, but I know that's a lot of work to align and focus, but I think it's critical for us to, in our theme, accelerate change, and I thank you and the team and the leadership for helping accelerate that and positioning in that way. I think it's really critical. I'm going to bring you in, Taylor. You know, we've been having conversations about how do we bring in different innovations, and we want to bring in young people's voices. We want to position things in ways that this new continent, you know, across Africa, the young continent can actually respond as well. You've been doing some amazing work at Tailored Foods, partnering with organizations like UNICEF to help scale solutions. And I think this is where the connections come. Research is great, and it gets us to this point, and then it's about how do you partner, and I know this is something that you're very much looking at as well, and so the collaboration. So you've been building coalitions of local entrepreneurs, farmers, and manufacturers, and also multilateral development institutions to design, take to market food products for people living in poverty. So tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. Thank you, Paul, and thank you to the whole Beans is How team for putting together this beautiful stage. Definitely the most food-focused and just delicious-looking stage at the whole forum. So thank you to the whole team, firstly. And so the work I do, you know, I in many ways try to work, you know, from the grassroots up. So my first question is, why do people eat what they eat? And how do entrepreneurs who are at the grassroots level meet the needs of their own communities? Because, you know, we can sit in forums like this and talk about different foods or how to get people to eat healthy diets, but the entrepreneurs, and often young entrepreneurs who are on the front lines, they're the ones who know what their consumers want to eat, and they're really, you know, on trend with what's popular. Why are instant noodles all of a sudden taking off in Nigeria? Or why is something like you know, really processed sausage in Kenya become the staple food of every motorbike driver across Nairobi? So, you know, young entrepreneurs, they're the ones on the kind of cutting edge of trends. And so my work, I work with young entrepreneurs across the continent over the last 8 years, and together we build food businesses trying to make healthy food that's also culturally relevant, using digital technology to market food, to connect entrepreneurs. And I was just kind of doing this work, at a very tiny scale. But the really exciting thing is, as I started sharing with the entrepreneurs I work with what we do, all of a sudden the big organizations, UNICEF, the World Food Program, the World Bank, they said, hey, we want to do a better job of working with young people, working with entrepreneurs. And so there's been really cool opportunities for partnership and influencing the bigger institutions. And the bigger institutions are trying to figure out, maybe an organization like UNICEF that's historically imported a lot of food, they're now thinking really thoughtfully about how can they source food from local entrepreneurs. Or like in Congo, for example, the World Food Program now has for 4 years been buying a product for their school feeding program that's made by 160 women entrepreneurs at the household level. So for any entrepreneur who works on food safety, organizations like the World Food Program, they care a lot about food safety. So it's pretty remarkable that in Congo now we've got to a point where the World Food Program is buying a product that's made by 160 women entrepreneurs at the community level, food safe product, but doing it in a decentralized grassroots way. So taking these big ideas and how do you actually implement them at the grassroots is the focus of my work.
I think we do have, I know African Food Changemakers has some entrepreneurs here. Is there any entrepreneurs in the audience? And particularly women? Then I get a bit louder. This is good. So.
Only women. And
only women.
The interesting thing quickly about my work is we do not have a gender bias in who we work with, but we end up working with pretty much only women, which is cool.
So, Dr. Lindeley, your work with CGI involves harnessing the power of science and innovation to tackle some of the biggest challenges that we're talking about today. What are some of the things that get you excited? What are some of the initiatives that you've seen that excite you?
So what's exciting is a new initiative called VAX.
Let's move forward.
I'm sure we're all tired of acronyms, but this is one that we want to embrace. It's the vision for adapted crops and soils for Africa. We're excited because this vision, the roots of it were planted by His Excellency Kerry Fowler, who is getting the World Food Prize this year. And he said there are some crops that have been forgotten, that are not permanently in our pantries, but maybe they hold the answer to climate resilience. They hold the answer to malnutrition. So we went back to our roots and came up with a long list. And luckily it was Africans in the room and African breeders who said, when I go to my village, I eat fonio, but I cannot find it in the city because it's hard work, it takes a lot, and the short season of availability means you cannot take things to scale. Also the same with our millet, with our sorghums, and the question was, can we get science to drive this agenda? So I'm excited because we started this small initiative, which is now getting big, where we did a long list of these forgotten grandmother crops. And we banished that name after discovering they have nutrition density. We did FAO testing and we've proven that they are dense in terms of nutritional value. We then said, in terms of climate, how do they hold? Indeed, they are climate resilient. So rather than hand-picking them, we said, fine, can we model for nutrition density and climate resilience? We now have a short list of those 20, cutting across vegetables, cereals, fruits, and trees, and legumes. And we are taking those forward under the VAX initiative to say, can we invest in breeding them so that they can improve in terms of yield without diminishing the nutrition and the climate resilience value? But can we also get new chefs to start creating the recipes? Because unless the next generation values them like I valued them from my grandmother's kitchen, we won't have a market. And I'm happy that people like Chef Pierre are now known as Mr. Fonio, because he has taken fonio to his restaurants. And so sad for me as an African, I tasted fonio for the first time last year.
Wow.
Imagine how many more people have not been to West Africa who will now taste this amazing product on the shelves in DC, in Washington. So this is what VAX is about. So this program is now housed within one of our CGIAR centers, CIMIT, but they are going to drive it in partnership with the African Union, with FAO, CGIAR, and make sure we scale production, we get science to improve productivity, but we also get you chefs to start promoting these crops in your new recipes. And for me, there's no better game changer than influencing through something that we left behind, but we now want to bring to our plate. So VAX is my new baby that I'm excited about.
And if you haven't heard about VAX, or this is the first time, you need to look it up, because there's a lot of support behind it, momentum, and it's I think got huge potential for the continent to really uplift many of these crops. And so it's something we should be talking about. These things we have to cheer on, and so I like the cheering. It's good. Okay, we're gonna go to chefs in a minute, but I want to hear, Taylor, there's a lot of entrepreneurs here. What's some advice you could give them from your perspective, trying to actually bring them together to actually really be able to kind of go to scale? Because I think we're talking about this accelerant. What's some advice?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, it's really quite exciting, the trends in the food system kind of multilateral institution space across Africa are that all these big institutions or these big school feeding programs, they are looking to buy from local entrepreneurs in a way that they haven't in years. It's really, really exciting. And so as a local entrepreneur, if you can get your food safety right and get your regulatory issues right, there's really exciting purchasing opportunities from all these big institutional players. So please reach out to me after. We can talk about it. I can help you navigate the landscape and figure out who to talk to in the space. But I think, Paul, to go back to the VAX initiative, the exciting thing is there's all these opportunities too around taking crops that have maybe been a little bit lost to the food system and bringing them back in exciting ways. When you look at the nutrition and health outcomes across Africa, and this was talked about by Georgie a little bit on this session earlier, pre-colonization, the health outcomes in Africa were actually quite good. Traditional African diets are very, very healthy and nutritious and incredibly sustainable. And so it's looking at how do you take these crops, how do you take the latest varieties of these crops, and as local entrepreneurs, how do we transform those crops into the sexy, cool food products that people want to eat today, right? Whether it's biscuits or bars or beverages or porridges or whatever people are eating on the street, or beautiful brownies. So yeah, how do we transform these crops into the food products that people are excited to eat?
Well, I'm excited, and Dr. Linda Taylor, this has been an amazing conversation. I think there's probably people that will come and find you around the forum now, so you have no more rest time. Have a little bit of a taste. Kieran's going to talk about it in a minute, but this is a sorghum brownie. It's exactly the same, so part of this conversation, but it's about how do we move this forward. But thank you so much for the work that both of you are doing. And we do wish you all the best as you're going forward in this, and thank you for, what do you think of this?
This is meant to be a sorghum brownie. Amazing, you'd never know what it's just as good as the original. How much more with the nutrition density that's in it. And sorghum popcorn. Congratulations.
We can hold the mic.
And this is, again, there's so much, my final point would be, there's so much work in the space on behavior change. Let's try to convince people to change their diets and change their behaviors. But it's way easier to change food products than to change behaviors. Let's respect people's cultures, let's respect their behaviors, and partner with chefs to make great food products.
I'm not sure we need to convince anyone. With projects like this, they will talk for themselves. So the time is now to make a difference. We've got people who are passionate. And for me, the best thing that happened in agriculture is to move to food systems. We had lost the word food. Everything was about commodity.
Yeah.
this is food, so let's take it to the people, and farmers will be richer and healthier. That's what we need.
Thank you. A big round of applause. Thank you so much. And just in this conversation, there's so much richness. One of the points, when I first started the work that I was doing, I was told by a very learned and experienced person who works with chefs around the world. He was in charge of judging some of the biggest. He said to me, he said, Paul, he said, never try and tell people what is good and bad in food, because everyone is an expert. They said there's almost 8 million experts of food, because each of us are born in a particular place, we have an experience, and so how do we acknowledge people's flavors, taste profiles and things like this, but give them choices? And so it was something that stuck in my mind and I've thought on for some time. But we're going to go to the table, and I'm thrilled to welcome back to stage two chefs from competing countries. No, Kenya and Nigeria. I don't know. We'll see who's got the loudest cheer group soon. But we have Chef Kieran Jethwa and Chef Moyo, and I'm going to pronounce your name wrong. No, you tell me. Odofa. Yeah?
You tried. Yeah, you tried.
But today you're both working with some amazing ingredients, sorghum and bambara groundnut, and these are both VAX opportunity crops. These are part of what Dr. Lindaway was talking about. These crops are key crops to move forward. And so I want to thank some of our friends from AGRA, which is part of the CGI connections, who have shared some improved varieties of sorghum with Chef Kieran so that he could complete his dish. So we were trying to source it here and we had to find some, so that's come in. And these crops have this huge potential, I think, for improving nutrition security and food security in the context of climate change. They're nutrient and very dense in terms of the nutrients, but they've had underinvestment. People haven't invested in these crops in terms of getting them to market, making them available and using them. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with you, Chef Moyo. Can you tell us, say hello.
Hi everyone.
Where are you from?
I'm from Nigeria.
From where?
Nigeria.
You're doing something on the savory side here for us today.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what are you going to make for us today?
So we're making something called abada. It's from Niger State in Nigeria, the Nupe people, and it's like a bambara nut pancake.
A bambara nut pancake.
Yes.
Do people know what bambara nuts are?
Okay, so you can have a look. They grow underground like groundnuts, but they're actually a bean. And they're very, very nutrient dense. They come in different colors, and typically in Nigeria you see them as the flour. We use the flour in many ways.
Okay.
There's something called opa, which is like a steamed bean pudding. I don't know what to call it. It's similar to moi, yes. And that's one of the most pervasive ways you see people eating bambara. You don't really see it any other way, but it's so versatile. Agaba is one of those ways that they eat it. And bambara nut is very crunchy when you fry or stir fry. And we know you made akara yesterday. You can also make akara with bambara flour. Yes, so you can use the flour for various things. So we're making the bambara pancake today, and we're going to top it with some veggies, some spiced corn, carrots, bell peppers, and then we have a sauce, yesterday's sauce actually, but it was meant for today. And the sauce is like a romesco. It's based on roasted bell peppers, tomatoes, and instead of using almonds, we use egusi seeds.
Oh.
Egusi is a melon seed from Nigeria. We use it to make soups, and it's very nutty. We usually make it into soup. So in this case, it's in the sauce, then we'll top it with some fresh herbs, and then the toasted egusi once more.
It's getting, the aroma and the smell is amazing. Chef Kieran, what are you making? I think you're doing the sweet side.
I'm melting. Hello.
Okay. Yes, are we on?
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm melting sugar.
You're melting sugar?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
To make a sort of salted
what
caramel type sauce, which is very familiar.
Yep.
For this. Before I get into this, just going back to the melon seeds and the bambara, and this is, I suppose, a little segue. I've been cooking for God knows how long, 30 years. Never seen those two ingredients.
You've never seen them? Really?
So, I mean, I've traveled a lot.
And you've lived on the continent and you've never seen them?
And I suppose that's really a massive point, and it's in itself. You know, just two professionals in the space for as long as as long as I have been, and then seeing ingredients that I've never seen before. I mean, just from my own perspective, it's enlightening and it's great because, you know, like an artist, not to sound too clever, but, you know, our color palette is ingredients, and so off we go and we make things with. It's like discovering a new color. You know, it's very cool, and I think that's what's also the power of bringing people together, and, you know, from different parts of the world and sharing ideas, stories, and ingredients is extremely, just in itself, an extremely.
Out of the audience, who's heard of Bambara nut before? Okay, we've got maybe, 20%? Okay. See, this is the challenge, but this is also the opportunity of food. There are so many ingredients, and I've been told often if we don't use these ingredients, they don't get valued, and so they disappear. And we're losing lots of crops, and so it's really important that when they're showcased, then people will produce them, they'll protect them, they'll work on them, they'll research with them, and they'll develop them, and so this is key. So you're making something with sorghum. Tell us just again so you've got sorghum, 1 or 2 varieties, what are you doing?
So the point today was accelerate. So I thought, right, let's take probably one of the most widely eaten pastries on the planet that everybody knows, that no one will let anybody screw with, excuse my language, because if you mess up a brownie, you're going to be in trouble. And then just show that really we've kind of been pigeonholed into using certain grains, and the industry and the narrative and everything is forcing us down a certain sort of pipeline, where actually there are a lot of opportunities to make stuff that's extremely familiar with a completely different sort of range of ingredients. So I thought, let's make a brownie. It's made using I've used 2 different types of sorghum because there are many types of sorghum.
Yeah.
So it's just to show a little bit of the variety here. Put it into a brownie which, like Dr. Lindway said, you know, you wouldn't know any different. So if you want to talk about accelerate, if we had a magic wand today and we waved in every single brownie on the planet today was made with this recipe, what would be the acceleration in the sorghum value chain?
Even if all of you did this and you change, this is what it's about. It's all fair and well to come to conferences to talk about this, but then if we go home and we just do the traditional same, we don't change. So for me, this is what these kinds of examples are. They're about tasting. You go to a restaurant, you taste something, and then you go, okay, let me make something at home, or let me try, or let me go and buy that from somewhere. And I think this is important. And then groups like Taylor and other tailored foods, they create products, or some of the entrepreneurs here create products, and then it becomes part of the way to do it. But we have to learn how to make these crops.
I actually think this brownie, having tasted it, is so you will like a gooey brownie, you know, that's kind of what a brownie should be. I think this actually lends itself better. I think it's better than you making a brownie with wheat. And so what would be the volume of wheat not sold versus the volume of sorghum sold if every brownie from tomorrow was made with this recipe?
And sorghum, you know, we've got to think about, this is talking about it from a flavor perspective, but it's been a staple in African diets for centuries. It's a drought-resistant crop, and we know that the weather's changing. It also helps maintain soil health because it has a deep root system. And so these things are really, we know now are very important because as we've shifted things, so we have to be thinking about how do we prevent erosion, how do we reduce water, how do we improve these kinds of connections so that our farming practices are more sustainable, which then can be also, when we say sustainable, they can be more profitable, hopefully, as well, because this is very important.
And the other thing about that is it's gluten-free, so there's another problem off the table.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so, you know, and then I tried to use sorghum 2 ways, so it's in the recipe there as a flour, and then just made popcorn out of it, which will go on top of this to bring texture and, you know, a bit of fun. We all know it's not popcorn, is it? It's pop sorghum.
Pop sorghum.
Pop sorghum, yeah.
Pop gum. We've got to come up with a new name for it.
And just shows you the what's a popcorn, another crop that we are heavily dependent on and used widely. I mean, it really tastes very similar, just a bit smaller. We'll send some around, and there you go. Like, there's 2 little things. If all the popcorn in the world tomorrow is pop sorghum.
Amazing. Well, the nutrient density, the soil, it's amazing. Thank you, Chef Kieran. Everyone's getting ready to taste this. We'll be coming back in a second. Chef Moya, you and your team do an amazing job in incorporating and celebrating local and seasonal foods, and often, ingredients that people are overlooking. How do we get more chefs to do this?
Things like this. I think sometimes chefs are stuck in what they're used to. Sometimes they're a bit afraid to venture outside to avoid disappointing their clients or their guests. But if they understand that the world that we're in right now needs this, and by innovating and being creative, they can actually gain a larger clientele, everything can change.
Yeah.
And the food is still very delicious. So sometimes they think it will be heavy, it won't come out right. But if they can, be trained, even just through social media, understand that it's not that difficult, and it is even better, because that brownie is better than any brownie I've tasted before. Like the sorghum actually really comes through, and it's very beautiful. So understanding that can make a very big difference.
Yeah, no, I think this understanding, and I think we also need to not apologize for food.
Yes.
We need to actually be celebrating and talking about this. So sometimes we go, we've changed it, or I often hear, like, it doesn't have any meat in it. And people go, but I never even thought about that, because I was eating it and enjoying it. Now you've told me what I'm missing out on. And so I think these things sometimes are key, but as chefs, you put things on a plate, and you make them, you storytell, you put them forward, and people get excited. So I think this is really, really critical. So I see people are putting finishing touches to some of these dishes. Chef Kieran, how do you think chefs can play a role in educating consumers about the benefits of these crops? Not in terms of nutrition and the biodiversity side of things. Keep cutting, it's fine.
That's a good point. I'm not very good at doing two things at once. Look, it's about how you present something. Every time you stick something on a menu, there's a little description that upsells the product.
Yeah.
Customer comes in, picks up the menu, has a look, they're like, okay, yeah, cool. I'll buy that, sounds great. Part of that is storytelling. Storytelling the story of the dish, really. I think through that, just that simple little tool, a lot of education can happen.
Yeah.
We're all trying to find the edge as well, aren't we? We're all trying to find the point of difference. It's a highly competitive industry, amazing chefs doing all sorts of amazing things. We're all trying to one-up each other, just commercially. And this is just these are all incredible tools at our disposal to sort of, one, have a commercial opportunity or to improve the strength of the business, and then two, to make people really come away from your establishment and your experience going, wow, I had a memorable experience. And did you know what? I had a brand made out of sorghum, and I've eaten sorghum. I'm going to try it. Off they go. Hopefully, it cascades and sort of snowballs, and that's really, how all influencing starts, isn't it? It's how, you saw all those top chefs in the UK trying to push the fish that were being the bycatch that was thrown away. Jane Oliver did a big thing there, and that had significant impact. Yeah. And so, the model is there. We just got to get the conversation right. We have all the tools. All social media. We have all tools to get the word out there.
Let you finish off. I think we're getting some of these dishes out. Basically, I think.
And just even to add to what you just said, sometimes you don't tell them.
Yeah.
In my menu, sometimes when I know I have like a controversial ingredient, I almost leave it off, and when you come, you try it, and then I tell you, do you know that is what you're eating? And they're surprised that, oh my God, I cannot, if you had told me, I would not have wanted to eat this. But because I tasted it first, I'm sold now. Yeah. And that makes all the difference.
I know in my house, my wife would often do that, and then have a competition at the end of dinner to say, okay, kids, name all the ingredients that are in, and there would be a competition of all the ingredients that they guessed were in that dish. And it was a great way for them to also understand diversity is important in our dishes, food, and bring that into it. So that was quite key. I will tell you though, I'm not going to not tell everyone, but yours is featuring bambara flour pound cake with local corn and a herby red pepper, bell pepper relish.
Yes.
And Chef Kieran's dish is a gooey sorghum brownie with a salted caramel glaze sorghum popcorn, but it does contain nuts, eggs, and dairy. So I just want to make sure we have to tell people about intolerances in case there's some reaction. So just if you have a nut, dairy, Please avoid the brownie. I'm sorry. I will take it off your hands. But there's no allergens on your side.
No.
Even though it says bambara nut, it's actually
not
a bean.
a nut. Yes,
it's
it's
not
a
a
bean.
nut. It's a bean in disguise. So,
Guys.
what, pardon? You want to taste? You're waiting. I see Betty is hungry and she's very, you're going to give me good feedback on this. So we're going to start passing some dishes out. These are, sorghum is packed with nutrients, antioxidants, fiber, iron, potassium. It's very versatile. And so these kinds of ingredients, sometimes we just have to be thinking more creatively around. So we've got a few samples we're going to pass out.
Yep, almost there.
Almost there.
Yes, I'm ready.
This looks very colourful as well.
Yes.
So what was... Yes. So tell us a bit more, as we hand this out, the inspiration.
So the inspiration has came from the abada, right? But I kind of made it a little bit different. Sometimes the issue with bambara is that it has a very distinct flavor, which can be a bit interesting for people that are not used to it. So in the bambara pancake, I added some ripe plantains. Nigerians will love plantains, and plantains are lovely and sweet, and that's going to give it, some complexity. And then the sauce, the egusi seeds, and the herbs just make it very interesting.
So is anyone interested in tasting any of these? Okay, I think there's some people here that... Okay.
I'll make some popcorn quickly so people can see that.
Okay, we're gonna make up some popcorn just here on stage as well. This is just using sorghum. So sorghum straight into oil, is that right?
Same way you make normal popcorn.
And I'm just gonna try to do some quality control. I'm gonna come to you. Think about if anyone has a question for either of the chefs, we do have a microphone we'll bring around as well. So Lavender has got a microphone. We have a question here. And then we'll ask for some feedback while I taste.
Do you want me to... Let me place one up for you.
Thank you so much. I wanted to find out, I've noticed that sometimes there's a challenge of some of the ingredients needing more time with cooking, like the boiling, and how the chefs are going to overcome that, or how they deal with that. Because I'm imagining getting into a restaurant and ordering the bambara nut, and it needs 2 hours to boil.
Yes. So there are a lot of hacks that you can use to make these things quicker. One of them is soaking. You can soak your beans overnight. You can have some soaked ones in the fridge or in the freezer all the time. And you can also parboil them so that they're also kind of half cooked and your work is easier. The other thing you can do is use the flours. When you're using bambara nut flour, it takes no time. You really don't have to wait for anything. It's very, very fast.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask, has anyone tasted something? I want to see what your thoughts are. Couple of quick comments on what you're thinking.
This is for you.
Okay, hello.
Hi.
So,
You're trying the brownie?
yes, so it's quite too sugary.
Okay.
Right, so is there sugar? How much sugar?
Yeah, you can reduce the sugar on that. It's too sweet for you. I mean, the salted caramel also is quite punchy. But yes, I mean, that wouldn't make any difference.
Okay, so how long is because it's a different flour?
Yeah.
So does it take longer than the other
No, I mean, this recipe is, I can't remember the whole thing off the top of my head, but the baking time is 40 minutes at 170 degrees.
So is it?
It's about the same as a normal brownie.
About the same?
Yes, it's about the same.
Slightly.
Yeah, no, like literally, I mean, there are so many different recipes in the brownie world that you'll get recipes. It's well within the whole spectrum of them. There's virtually nothing different here. The process, the cooking time, the equipment, the ingredients apart from the flours, all exactly the same. I'm sure the Chef's Manifesto will post this recipe somewhere.
Yeah.
You can try it.
Okay.
So
Can you also play around with plain spices?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, go for it. Like, cinnamon would work well, nutmeg, cream, all the obvious ones, but you could try all
Playing
sorts.
around, right?
Yeah.
Thyme and chocolate work quite well. Generally white chocolate, but
White chocolate.
But I haven't done this with white chocolate. You could.
Yeah. I know would just say on the recipes, we do have some QR codes around if you want to find out more information on the Chef's Manifesto or some of our programs. We'll pass them around. Make sure, even up at this table, we're also going to be posting on Chef's Manifesto on Instagram the recipes, so you'll have them there, and you can also then try them at home, make your own version, send them back to Chef Kieran, and this is what food's about. You know, we can try different things. Sorry, please, food back on.
Yes, hi. My name is Ronnie. I'm from Bopink. My question is to Chef Moyo. First, interesting name in Kenya. It means heart. So
They told me.
really the same thing. Yeah. So I'm really interested about the flour, the bread that you made. And I mean, for me, my contribution would be in the process of getting people to really, identify and to want to try this. I did see someone on Instagram doing something around testing the insulin spikes with the diet and foods that they contribute. And so for me, that would be also very interesting to try and see how much spikes this kind of food cost. Others super interesting, super tasty. I don't mind that the sugar taste. It could be healthy or not, I don't know, but I think that's maybe the next thing that we need to know to get it out there. But thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. I completely agree. Things like insulin spikes is all about providing information so everyone can make an informed choice. And in this case, what I used for the sweetness was ripe plantains. So instead of using, refined sugars, you can use bananas, right? But any naturally sweet fruits or vegetable can go in there to help make it sweet.
To me, this is these kinds of things are all about testing and learning, and this is all our own individual tastes. And I think this is really key. Betty, what did you think of the dish?
Oh, it was fantastic.
Which one did you try? You tried both.
I tried the.
This side.
Yeah.
We'll bring this side.
It was very nice. Yeah, it tasted very, very nice, very nice. And I'm curious about how does she grind the butternuts? Okay, into a flour.
Yes, into a flour.
Yeah.
So it's the whole nut grounded into a flour. Yes, it's coming now.
So, I mean, this is where food is, and I think it's really key to see these connections. I think it's, often we talk about things like VAX and these big programs, but then when you start to actually taste this, it starts to come to life. There's a different excitement about it, and then you start to go, oh, I now know what you're talking, why I want to be exploring this food, and food is about that kind of exploration. And so I think these kinds of dishes and working with chefs in this sort of way is key. The chefs have a lot of things to consider. And so, they're looking at energy use, they're looking at profitability, they're looking at nutrition, they're looking at flavor, what price points. This is where we've also got to support chefs in terms of going there and asking them about these things and giving them the space to talk about food. Because if they understand some of these challenges, I think that's key. And so this has been great, and I know, across the forum there's lots of conversations. I can see Chef Norman and Chef Mohammed here from the Radisson team. Come and say hello quickly. These guys are the chefs behind all the food here for this whole conference, so give them a big round of applause. They're working hard, feeding over 5,000 people and doing an amazing job. And so it's not easy, but lots of different requests and running. They're morning and evening. So make sure you go and thank them and their team here at the KCC and the Radisson for all the work you guys are doing and the thought you're putting in. So they've been a huge help to us and made this possible. So thank you.
Do they need more? Sorry.
Okay, we're going to pass this around. Chefs, you need to taste. Chefs, taste this food. Otherwise, we're going to bring it for you. You need to taste. So we've got a few more brownies here. These are made with sorghum. And then we've got some bambara nut as well. So any final comments, Chef Kieran?
I'll reduce the sugar in the brownie.
Perfect.
Yeah. No. I mean, look. It's exciting to be able to experiment like this.
Yeah.
You set a challenge for us. This is what I came away with. It's again to try and tell a story and drive a conversation. But I'd never really put put a brownie together with sorghum. This is sort of my first attempt. I think there are some tweaks we could make.
I would buy this at your restaurant.
Thank you very much. But
Of course.
maybe we should put it on the menu.
You should put this on the menu at the restaurant.
Genuinely, it's really interesting. So, thank you for pushing us to do things like this.
That's great. Chef Moya, any final comments?
Just that it's really, really lovely to be able to work with these ingredients and just express our creativity. And crops like bamba, especially in Nigeria, they are grown predominantly by women. Right? They are grown, they are processed predominantly by women, and there's something really good to know that you're supporting women whilst you're using crops like this.
Let's ask the chefs. Chef, what do you think? I think we have a mic here we're going to give you. Tell us.
No, really nice.
What are your thoughts?
You can be honest. You can be honest.
That's a good critique.
Great. Creativity. Tastes like a normal brownie. And then the crumbs from the popcorn, amazing. Really innovative. Well done.
Thank you.
Awesome. Chef Mohammed?
It's completely for me. It's different and amazing. Thank you, Chef.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, the chefs are going to be changing over, so thank you, Chef Moya and Chef Kiran. Please give them a round of applause. Okay, so we've spoken and tasted about what's on the plate. We can't forget sometimes also about beverages and cups. Okay, we talk about plates a lot, but what about cups? We all like to have a drink sometimes. And so one of the questions that comes up sometimes is, what is the future of these crops, particularly drinks that use lots of grain? And I know my friend Chef Pierre Thiam has been a big fan of Fonio, and he has looked at a little bit what the future of beer looks like in the context of food system transformation. And he talks about the role brewers can play in really accelerating market. And so we're going to show a short video. He couldn't be with us, but we're going to show a short video, which is from a pioneer in the brewing world, Garrett Oliver. He's the brewmaster of Brooklyn Brewery, very famous brewery in New York, and he advises breweries around the world, including the big ones, Carlsberg, these guys, the big guys. And he has been inspired by Chef Pierre Thiam, the Senegalese culinary legend and a good friend of ours, and he has created a beer that's unlike anything I've ever had before. Chef Pierre was unable to be with us today, but I know he is watching on. But I just wanted to share a little bit of the video. It's a couple of minutes. We're going to put the video on, and it's going to show us a little bit of the journey into the world of Fonio. And then when the video is over, we're going to come back, and we're going to be looking at Fonio and millet here on the stage with two other amazing chefs here. So don't go anywhere. We're going to put that on, and it's going to be playing on the screens now.
Hey people, it's Garrett Oliver here, brewmaster of Brooklyn Brewery. I know you're hyped to hear about all these new collaboration beers from our friends across the world of brewing, and you know what? I am super excited to share the first one with you now. We begin our journey in West Africa, which is my ancestral homeland. Recently, in Senegal, I had the amazing opportunity to work with Chef Pierre Thiam of Yolele Foods, who years ago showed me a grain that bridges the past and the future, Fonio. Fonio isn't just another ingredient, it's a miracle grain that holds the potential to transform the world of beer. It brings new flavors, cultural resonance, and most importantly, community impact. And who better than our friends at Maison Kalau in Senegal to launch the very first beer in this series called Brewing for Impact.
How are you?
Good. Hey, good to finally meet you, man.
My name is Raphaël Hilarion, and I'm the founder of Maison Kalau, an artisan brewery born in Senegal 3 years ago.
So we're ready to get going.
Our end goal is to impact local cereal through the beers. I knew I wanted to brew with Fonio, but Garrett, he beat me to it. I was so inspired to find out that he had already done it. I had so many questions about how to brew the Fonio. Garrett is an artist and very technical.
When we do it, the Fonio disappears into the wort.
Colonization over the centuries has meant that people locally don't even know about the Fonio. It went from Dakar to Brooklyn before coming home again. If we can make fonio known, it could have a great impact on the agriculture in Senegal. Encourages local production of fonio.
Thanks for showing us. This is what's so cool about fonio. It isn't just about brewing, it's about community too.
The fonio has so many benefits. In addition to impacting the local communities, it is also a very sustainable grain, and we want to use it to create a circular economy. We can also use it for the animal feeds, compost, then the farmers can use it too. It brings the whole community to be part of it, beyond beer.
For me, this is the essence of what fonio is about. An ancient grain that's been used for millennia to build and sustain communities. We can learn so much from this ancestral wisdom. This is the future. So much versatility in such a tiny little grain, and it makes delicious beer too.
Most days you don't have a personal assistant.
Dakar Brooklyn is a beautifully smooth Pilsner, not too strong, perfect for the Senegalese climate. And you can taste the fonio in it too, almost like I'm back in Senegal.
Fonio juice.
I'm very proud of this beer and everything it represents. You know, Garrett inspired me to make something new. And now we are the first in Senegal to make a fonio beer. And it's our best beer. The flavor, the Senegalese signature, is a real pride.
Exploring the possibilities of this ancient miracle grain opens up so many possibilities in our world, learning from the past to shape our future, and bringing back circular economies and all the positive change they can bring. And this beer is just the beginning.
And check this out. There is lots to learn there. So I hope you're still hungry. We have more food coming. So if you've just sat down, you're in the right place. We've got more culinary storytelling. It's going to help feed our appetite for change. And we're going to be talking about elevating African cuisine to the global stage with a millet and sorghum culinary showcase. And on stage today we have our good friend, Chef Pinky, and we have Chef Claude. And so welcome chefs. Chef Pinky, do you want to say hello? You got a big crowd yesterday, so I think that we need to get some attention now.
Yes, good.
Good to have you with us.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's good morning or good afternoon. What time is it? Good afternoon. Yeah, I've been up very early. So good afternoon and welcome. It's going to be educational, inspirational, and tasty.
Can we get the lights back? Thank you. Thank you, Chef Pinky. And Chef Claude, do you want to say hello?
Hello, I'm Chef Claude, based here in Rwanda, professional chef for the last 20 years or so, and passionate about reviving some forgotten ingredients like sorghum.
Where's the rest of this?
Of sorghum.
We're going to talk about it in a second. Chef Pinky, can you tell us a little bit about what your dish is going to feature? I think you're looking at finger millet, is that right?
Yes, it's finger millet.
And so what is going to be in your dish? Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so it's a little bit spicy, and it's a combination of some vegetables like carrots, I've got coriander, I have chickpeas, and then I have raita, which is yogurt and grated cucumber, and then the salsa is tomato, coriander, a little bit of mint, lemon juice, and red onions.
Amazing. And so finger millet is easy to cook with?
Finger millet is easy to cook, and I think people are shy away from cooking finger millet because they don't understand it.
Yeah.
And it is all you need to do. It's, you know, it's not like other crops. It doesn't have a husk. It's already been hulled. So what you need to do is to make sure that you cook it for, you know, the best way is to soak a night before and then cook in boiling water, or you can pressure cook to reduce the cooking time. So in South Africa, what we do, we have things called wonder bags. Because they save energy, because electricity, gas is very expensive. So you would cook it for 30 minutes, bring it to boil for 30 minutes, and put it in in a wonder bag and it continues to cook.
Okay.
So with the millet, one thing nice about it is that you can have byproducts.
Okay.
So you can make flour out of it, you can make a cake like Chef did with the sorghum. You can make the flour, you can crumb with it. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to make a fritter out of it.
Amazing. That's great. So where did that inspiration come from for this fritter?
My take is with the indigenous crops or the sustainable crops is that take your everyday dishes and incorporate these crops in it, because then it is, so it's a matter of substituting. And if you feel that, you know what, I'm not used to it, let's say you're making rice or couscous, you can go, this millet calms you down, this crop calms you down, and it helps with, it definitely helps with anxiety and depression, and it lowers blood pressure, of which is something that we need. I think we don't need to feed our stomach, we need to feed our bodies.
Yeah.
So with crops like this, that's exactly where we need to be.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, millet, we just saw funio on there. Funio is in the same family as millet. It's a millet, essentially, as well. Chef Claude, talk to us a little bit about what you're preparing and what dish you've got here today.
Really, I wanted to showcase the versatility of sorghum. We locally tend to consume the sorghum just as a porridge, like with flour. And so I wanted to show the versatility. So basically, I have a sorghum salad. Dressing as a Christmas sauce. Now, with the terroir, we have a lot of mangoes and avocado. So I also wanted to showcase how you can combine all those flavors and still have the superfood, as we know, sorghum, part of the salad. So I hope we get good feedback when we give it to people for tasting.
And so how did you prepare the sorghum in here?
The sorghum normally takes a long time to cook, so I put them in water overnight.
So soaking it,
yep. Soak it to make it softer. So when I cooked it, it took me about an hour.
Yep.
So now then I have my avocado mango salad. So I mix the whole thing and I mix my fresh pesto with arugula instead.
So what sort of potential does this have in contemporary cuisine, sorghum, do you think?
This is obviously a pleasant, attractive dish to look at. And in terms of even businesses, sorghum would be cheaper on the local market. So it can reduce your food cost, and while you accelerating by creating demand of more sorghum, so we have more farmers producing sorghum.
That's amazing. And so let's get some plated up, I think, as well. You're going to get some pulling it together. Chef Pinky, in terms of cooking and prepping with millet, what are some tips? Talk to us about tips. So, you know, what are some of the things people should be thinking about when they're doing this? It's coming.
Testing, yes. So the first thing is to soak.
Soak it.
Just
like how long for? Tell me how long.
Soak overnight, because then you don't have to sit and wait like 1 hour, 2 hours. So I always say soak overnight, because you'll be sleeping and then it will just, you know, hydrate, and so that it shortens your cooking period. So, and then how do we pack flavor into this? So the first thing that you need to do, make sure that it is cooked well. Make sure that it is cooked well. So what I did this time, I cooked it al dente, meaning firm to the bite. So it has a crunch. So as you know, fritters, everything is like not crunchy. So with this one, I left it to be al dente so that you can have a little bit of crunch. So today it's all about texture and flavor.
Great. And so soaking, then cooking well, and that's really critical. So, okay, no, that's great. And Chef Claude, you know, sorghum is, we've talked a bit about today. It's very resilient to drought. It has this nutritional benefits. How do we educate consumers and chefs about the benefits of bringing this into their diet?
I think the main drive could be the cost.
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
Is it cheaper?
Yes.
A lot cheaper?
Yeah, a lot cheaper. And so it's affordable.
So it's good for business?
Yes, it is. And so then by doing more things like this, showcase how, it looks attractive, tastes good.
Yeah.
So that'll be another drive.
Are you afraid the price is going to go up though?
Yeah, but still won't be that imported ingredients, so we'll still reach that high.
More people will grow them, so I think this is going to help.
Definitely.
And in running restaurants and hotels, how easy would it be to use these ingredients?
It'd be easy because those, it's available, locally available. So it'll be just a matter of hours being more interested once they know there's a market for it.
Yeah.
They'll be more, inclined to grow sorghum. But now, also when we look at the big picture doing the sorghum, it's good for the soil, good for the climate. So that will be a big plus when you look at the big picture.
Absolutely. Chef Pinky, you're going all right here over here?
Yes.
Very busy.
So you see, I've got a texture is nice, light and brown,
So you're
but then
frying them off?
moist inside. So like I said, it's all about the texture. And then from here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make the salsa, and then I'm going to make the raita, and that's what I'm going to top it with.
And so you're a huge advocate for reducing food waste and using the local seasonal ingredients. How have you incorporated any zero waste elements into this dish?
So like the offcuts from the onions and the carrots that I've used, I used it in my stock to cook my millet.
Okay.
Because remember, you need to incorporate flavor. So incorporate flavor from the beginning of your cooking process, and then as you go in different stages. So I like to do it at the beginning so that you can have a packed flavorful dish.
Okay, so you would always cook in a stock millets or any other grains?
Yes.
So not just water. This might be a mistake I'm making at home.
Not just water and salt.
Okay.
So I would definitely put, even with my beans, I would cook them in my scraps. All my vegetable scraps, I put them in there. And if you think maybe because it's going to be messy, in the kitchen we get mop caps. So we make the bag into the scraps and then put it in like a bouquet garni, and then you put it in your beans and then they cook with it.
I've seen that done, but I need to do this. This is great. I mean, I don't know whether anyone else who does this kind of zero waste trick with their scraps. This is great. Okay.
Yes, I want to say something about.
Say something about working.
I want to say something about food waste. Food waste is very close to my heart. As we sitting here, as we eating right here, somebody has spent 3 or a week without food, and we go and we dish up food there, and then you don't finish your food, and what happens? Basuda in the bin. So we're saying something, we're advocating for something, but what is it that we're doing? Then we're contradicting ourselves. So what we need to do as what we advocate. So, especially in the restaurant, if you can see the amount of food that is being wasted and put in the bin, it is
a lot.
It's shocking.
Yeah. Well, we've got some dishes going out, so we're going to be coming round and asking people what they think in a minute. But so this has got mango, avocado, and you chose them because they're in season now?
Yes, they're in season.
There are a lot available?
They're available. Touching on what Chef Pinky said about reducing food waste, it's also one of my concerns. When I have time, I have different schools. I visit here, culinary schools, where I talk to upcoming chefs. And making them aware of reducing food waste. Be careful about your portions. So those are points I really insist on. And so I think we're all making a change by trying to reduce food waste in the world.
Yeah. Have you got any questions for the chefs or any feedback on the dish? What are people's thoughts on this dish?
Can you show them the crab?
Pardon?
Can you show them the crab?
Okay, we can show them this is the finger millet?
Okay, I'm gonna, so maybe...
This is the finger millet?
Yes.
Okay, we'll pass that round. Any questions or comments on Chef Claude's dish?
Separate.
Pardon? Okay, go for it. Remy, any thoughts? Yeah, we've got a mic here. Where's the mics?
Okay, mine is not on the dish. I haven't tasted it yet, but it's on food waste.
Yes.
I often also, when I go to a restaurant and I'm full, and I say, so what are you going to do with this food? And they're like, no, wait, you're going to throw it away. But I think we need to think of food waste broadly, because composting is not food waste. It's putting it back to the soil. Feeding your chickens, or if you've got something in the whole garden, we do that with grain that is not, that has been damaged by insects. So we need, if we can't eat it, we also need to have ways where the food can go either to compost or to animals, so that we don't waste.
Yeah. I think that holistic view of waste is critical. I often have asked people though for the benefits of, like, to give me analysis on that benefits, and it's an interesting one, but I do agree with you. Remy, what did you think?
I think it's good to feed the soil and to feed the man.
Yes.
Yes. I would like to know if the millet is cooked or not, and how long how do you make it?
The millet, the raw one is not cooked.
It's not cooked. This one is raw.
The one in the salad, in the avocado salad.
Oh, the avocado.
No, that was sorghum.
Oh, yeah. The sorghum, sorry.
Sorry, the sorghum. Chef Claude? Are you on?
Let's start with this.
The chef is busy.
No, we're just asking, is this being cooked or is it being just soaked?
I cooked them. I soaked them overnight, but then I cooked them, it took me an hour and a half.
An hour?
Yes.
Okay.
But because I still wanted
Was it hard?
It's good. It's very...
The texture is okay?
Yeah, I want it to be still crunchy to show the contrast of the creaminess of the avocado with the mango. So I still want it, like, texture-wise, I want it to be crunchy.
Yes.
What do you need?
Very delicious. Thank you. Fresh and well seasoned.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions for our chefs? We've got Chef Pinky's dish is going to come out in just a second. Comments? Yes, Francis.
Just one statement. Let's let the local foods dance in the mouth.
Yeah. That's great. Very much so. Okay, so Chef Pinky, your food's coming together?
Yes.
What are you looking for?
I'm missing my garnish.
You're missing your garnish?
Yes.
We'll find it for you. So Chef Claude, you've got some more there to dish out? No. Everyone's done.
I hope so.
So, you've worked a lot with local farmers as well in sourcing your ingredients. So tell us a little bit about that kind of connection of farm-to-table approach in your cooking.
It's been interesting because there was a disconnect between...
Let me help you.
Hello?
That's better.
It's been an interesting journey because there was really a disconnect between farmers and chefs.
Yeah.
So farmers growing, look at the market, they know they can easily sell.
Yeah.
And for chefs, like big places like this hotel, being a 5-star, there's something that they needed. And so they're obligated to import out of Kenya or out of South Africa.
Okay.
Because the farmers didn't know exactly what they want. But now, since we have that connection, they know exactly what kind of tomato, what kind of potatoes chefs are looking for. So I think that is a good thing to see for the environment, because people don't have to travel to come here, you can find it here, and make the farmer richer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Chef Pinky, how's it going?
Good.
We're taking some dishes around.
We're taking some dishes for tasting, and then I'm gonna do a main plate.
Perfect. So is this something you've done before, or is this a new dish that you just came up with for today?
This is a new dish.
So it's a test. You guys are
My job is to play and abuse food, to see the extent of it. And then when I stand in front of people, then I advise that please treat the ingredient properly.
Yeah.
Because I've already done it.
No, it's great. I'm going to try this. But, and so this is finger millet. Has anyone had finger millet before? It's good. I'm not surprised, but it does taste very good.
Okay, hello.
Yes.
Chef Claude. So I was looking at the seed inside, right? And she said millet, and I was wondering how it was prepared. So is it soaked? How many hours they're cooked? Because I know I use millet in one of my baby products. So the texture was, so I wanted to find out more.
Allow me to correctly, allow me to politely correct you, because I use sorghum and not millet. But I oversoaked them for 12 hours. By the time I cooked it took me about between an hour and a half.
But you use millets?
I used millet.
She did millet.
Okay, has anyone tasted the millets? Any thoughts, comments?
Comment on Chef Pierre's avocado dish first, then I'll come to you.
Okay.
Claude, sorry, Chef Claude. I thought the sorghum had a nice bounce to it, like when you're eating, because it's not cooked. I would add apple. I would add a sweet apple to give a crunch and a sweetness. This I like it because it's light. It's light, it's not oily, it's creamy. That's the second dish you made from millet. It's quite nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to be coming to an end in just a second, but is there any final questions for the chefs just around the dishes?
Yes, sir.
Hi, this is for Chef Pinky.
Yes.
Yeah, this reminds me of falafel.
Aha.
And then falafel was the perfect, accompaniment to this.
So you see how versatile is the millet. So when you go out there, your normal dishes, substitute whatever you were using and put the sustainable crops in it. Start with what you know, and then from there, then you can start becoming creative with it.
Thank you.
Any other final questions? Yes, we got one just in the middle. They're making you work, chefs.
That's good though.
It's not a question, Chef Pinky.
Yes.
I love the fact that you actually added the whole seeds or grains in them, so it really gives that chewy and crunchy texture, which I feel would be very great for snacks for kids.
Oh yes.
I know that would be very enjoyable. And then having the dressing, right, and the fruits and the vegetables in it really makes a whole lot of difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Remember, it's all about when we create dishes, it's about balance. You don't want to have flavors overpowering other flavors. So it needs to balance. If you don't have a balanced food, like, oh, it's too sour, oh, it's too spicy. So you need to have a tinge of zest. You need to have a little bit of spice, salty, and then the balance needs to come together. And the texture. Texture is very important. Because if I overcooked this and made it soft, you wouldn't have texture in your mouth. So there's some soft, and then there's some crispy, chewy, And that's what we need to teach our kids, not to eat only noodles. Exactly. So if we start with them at home, and if we go to the restaurant and they offer them a burger and chips, and we go back and say, listen, if you don't offer healthy meals for kids, I am no longer coming to support you. So if we as parents, we need to make sure that we lead this. And our kids are the future. So remember, we have messed up the climate. So it is our responsibility to make sure that when they come, everything is hunky-dory.
Preach it, sister.
Hallelujah.
You've got a congregation.
Yes.
No, I mean, these kinds of things are really important, and Chef Pinky works in food development for the entrepreneurs here, so she's testing and trying to bring this out. They actually works for one of the biggest food companies in the world, and works on trying to get future 50 foods, these foods which are Bambara, nut, Funio, into the products.
Yes.
And this is really important. It's important for the small entrepreneur to the large companies to be looking at solutions, to be thinking about this from a small cafe or to a school meal program, to a restaurant or a hotel. And to me, this is about chefs sit at the middle of this. You find chefs in all these locations, and chefs bring the ingredients together, they connect them, and they put them into different ways, which create sensations in our mouths, which we then think about. They bring back memories, they remind us of things, they connect us to things. And so I think this is really important for food system transformation, for the theme of accelerating action, which is today's theme. It's really important to think about how do we accelerate through using these techniques, these culinary skills, to drive that forward. So I would like you to thank our chefs. They've been working hard all morning to put together these dishes for you, and they're going to be around. We have some cards we'll pass around. You can follow them online. They're also the Chef's Manifesto. If you follow on Instagram, there's lots of chefs like this sharing recipes, sharing ideas, and social media can be a challenge for us because it can promote sometimes the wrong thing. But we need to support the people that are promoting the right things. So we need to get behind chefs like some of the chefs that are here, the entrepreneurs, the organizations, and give them love and support so that they keep doing more of what they do. And this is something that we really are trying to move. So today we've been talking about acceleration. We have talked about different crops. We've talked about how we move them forward and how we put them on the plate. I want to thank all of our chefs, Chef Pinky and Claude, as well as Chef Moyo and Chef Kieran, for bringing delicious recipes featuring sorghum, Bambara, groundnut, Funio, sorghum and pili millet. So thank you. I want to thank also the team over at Rockefeller for supporting us with some clean cooking stoves. Clean cooking is really important for reducing climate impact, improving health outcomes in terms of smoke and things like this. And so these stoves are really great for doing that. Also to thank our guests that came and spoke with us today. It's been really good. So we're going to be back here tomorrow on stage with another exciting program. So if you want to put that into your plan for tomorrow, we're going to be sitting here and working. But I want to do a quick shout out again to the team here at the KCC, the Radisemu and the kitchen team there. So thank you to them. Thank you to our sound team that's here. I also just want to thank some of the team that work with me. They can put their hands up in the air, but they've done a huge amount of work. And so I just want to shout out to them. There's some of them online in different parts of the world as well, they're watching online, so I'm giving a shout out to some of them as well. Claire's done a lot of my notes with Karen, and so I appreciate their support. So thank you. We encourage you to go to your next sessions, say hello to somebody. The chefs are going to be around, but we are super glad that you came and spent some time with us at the culinary stage here today. Thank you, everyone.
Tomorrow there's a burger challenge.
Oh, yes.
Better be here.
Well, so tomorrow there's a
bean burger challenge.
All the chefs are competing.
Okay.
So we're going to have some judging going on. I don't know what the prize is.
There's no prize. The prize is
everyone wins.
there.
Everyone wins.
Everyone wins.
Thank you. That's what they say when somebody wins. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.